gentlemen, my name is Nick.
My name is Marques White.
And we welcome you, as always, to the Wrevolution.
Stealing my thunder here a little bit, right?
Well, since you messed up on the first take.
That's fair.
So we are bringing you into the weekend wrap-up or weekend update or whatever we're calling it. I have no idea.
Oh, I'm the one messing up. It's the weekend. It's the weekend wrap-up, my guy.
I thought the name was still fluid, to be honest.
Weekend wrap-up. That's the name.
Sure, works
for now and forever.
Just
like my championship reign.
That's hilarious. I mean, you're not going to lose it tonight. I don't particularly even care enough to know what's on the card. So.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not losing it ever. Forever champion.
Okay, Bruno. Calm down. So, you have the list there of the order in which we want to do our That There News. We're going to kick things off with SmackDown?
Yes, so tonight we begin things with Friday Night SmackDown. Just a quick overview of kind of what happened, since we're not actually doing SmackDown reviews anymore because it's that bad. So, SmackDown kicked things off with Braun Strowman and NWO?
Yes.
NWO made an appearance on SmackDown because, as you know, they are getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yep.
And you've seen all the memes on Twitter about the NWO. Yeah, X-Pac. And my favorite one I saw, it was like a Bernie Sanders compared to Joe Biden meme, and they put Bernie as Braun and Sammy, and then the other one was like the NWO for Biden. So, just not to get all political on you, it just made me laugh. But
Election Day is Tuesday in Michigan. Get out and vote.
We had some stuff with the women, Naomi and Lacey Evans versus Bayley and Sasha Banks.
Cool.
Looks like Sasha Banks picked up the victory there. We had Sheamus defeating Apollo Crews, like anyone really cares. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville picking up the victory against Carmella and Dana Brooke. Hey!
Fire and Desire. Oh, wait a minute. Female tag team action?
I know, right?
Uh-oh. Are we going to get...
Someone's been listening to
Are we gonna get the belts back?
Oh, maybe. This is like someone's been listening to us, huh?
Yeah.
And then we had Bray Wyatt addressing John Cena for his WrestleMania challenge. So... cool. Am I the only one that just, ever since Fiend got buried by Goldberg,
you don't care?
Do not care. Sorry, Fiend.
That's okay. It's WWE main roster. I don't care anyways.
And then there's the Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode winning the tag team gauntlet match to enter last in Elimination Chamber, which, by the way, it's today because we're recording this on Sunday.
We're wrapping up the weekend.
Absolutely. So that was Friday Night SmackDown. Enough of that. Now let's get into some actual things we care about. So now we're going to talk about some of the news from this past week. And we're going to kick things off with what you guys obviously care the most about, and that's Matt Hardy. He's been all over the social media. It's been everywhere. It's been on Twitter, WWE's Twitter, AEW's Twitter. Where is Matt Hardy going to go? Of course, he did announce on his YouTube channel last Sunday that he would become a free agent, so it's been the hot topic of the week.
Absolutely. So we've talked about this at length throughout our videos, but just to give you a nice little bow on top, especially if there's anybody who just watches our weekend wrap-up video and doesn't, for some reason, watch our reviews, which, I mean, this is a little more casual. I get it.
Yeah.
If you're not so much a wrestling fan, you're just, tuning in. Cool. Good for you. Whatever. Matt Hardy announced last week that he would be going into the free agency market for professional wrestling, that he'd be tuning in everywhere, and that everyone should tune in Wednesday at noon to see the final episode of Free the Delete. And then the beginning of the multi-part final episode.
And who would make an appearance but the Young Bucks
of youth.
Yes.
I knew you'd come.
So really, whether it's a kind of a playing with the fans' emotions or it's just making it as obvious as it can be, it seems like Matt Hardy to AEW is kind of destined at this point.
Yeah, okay, so, God, this hurts to say. You might have been right about something. I think the Bucks are turning heel. I think the Bucks are going to join the Dark Order.
Really now?
I think that would be the perfect thing. I mean, they're at the Hardy compound, hanging out with their man Matt. I mean, they're all friends.
Yeah.
They're going to join the Dark Order.
Oh, I'd love that.
They're going to do it at Blood and Guts.
Okay. That would be an amazing thing. I'd love to see that. And speaking of blood and guts, that's actually a perfect segue into our next news topic, is that AEW officially announced the participants in the War Games match.
Whoa, the blood and guts match.
It's blood and guts pay-per-view. It's not
no.
called blood.
Yes, it is. They reviewed that on Wednesday. Tony Khan even said, I cannot use the term War Games.
He said you can't use the term War Games, but the pay-per-view is just called Blood and Guts.
It's not even a pay-per-view. It's a Dynamite. The match is called Blood and Guts. He said that in an interview.
Okay. Well, I didn't see that in any of the news articles that I read, so...
Should have watched the interview. 35 minutes of my life I'll never get back, but...
Yeah, exactly. So,
but at least I'm informed enough to tell them the truth.
Right, sure. So, anyway, it's going to be the Inner Circle versus the Elite. So, the members are going to be Hangman, Kenny, the Young Bucks, and Cody versus Jericho, Santana and Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, and Jake Hager. Didn't hear that in your interview, did you?
No, because he didn't announce
He didn't announce that, right, yeah. So, that just actually got announced today, something that I read in the news articles. So that's going to be really cool. That's probably where the Young Bucks will turn heel and will finally get the culmination of the storyline that I've been booking for weeks now. So can't wait for that. It's a little played out in the sense that, it's the Inner Circle versus the Elite again. So... that, in that aspect, I'm like, okay, whatever. But, I mean, it's going to be a good match regardless, right? So, can't really complain too much.
So, in additional news, I'm sorry, I don't mean to just throw random things in, but we kind of didn't get a chance to talk about this because we shot our weekend wrap-up on this date last week, yesterday, last week. There were 2 pay-per-views that happened last week. So, yes, we had the obvious stuff where we got the new AEW World Champion. We got the new... no, we didn't get anything else new. 2 retains. But we did get the brand new Ring of Honor World Champion, Rush, officially defeated PCO at Gateway to Honor in St. Charles, Missouri.
Yay?
Look, it's wrestling news. We're doing news, right?
Does anyone care, though?
I mean, I do. I care about it more than I care about Raw.
Someone has to care.
Or SmackDown.
Someone has to care, I guess.
Or anything that WWE puts on, other than NXT.
Again, someone has to care. So I'm sure someone out there, one of you out there is, yay, Ring of Honor! So, good job, I guess. But, next, we have Brian Alvarez reporting, kind of, speaking of Raw, why it's so bad this last week was that reportedly Vince McMahon showed up hours before Raw and changed everything, ripping up the script and putting Paul Heyman in quite the bind to get things right. Brian went on to say that everything good that you saw on Raw, like regards to Randy Orton and all that, that was all Heyman. Everything that you didn't like, yeah, you can take a wild guess. That was Vincent Kennedy McMahon himself.
I feel like I actually said that on our show on Monday.
Yeah, so pretty obvious. Mr. McMahon there showing up just like he normally does, just changing everything. According to Brian Alvarez, he while he's still he's like super busy with the XFL, he's still very hands-on with WWE. So not giving up his lifetime passion of WWE, not yet at least. Kind of wish you would though. Just go off into the sunset, man. Go do your XFL thing. It's doing well.
Be the Mr. McMahon character on screen and let everybody else do the work off screen.
Yeah, seriously. And then next we got WWE on Fox, the Twitter account, telling its followers not to trust Brad Shepard and Ringside News.
Fake news.
Yeah, so they tweeted out, guys, we usually don't interject, but when it comes to serious stuff, we will. Ringside News, especially Brad Shepard, isn't a trusted news source about anything. Please do not listen to them. Do as you will with other journalists. We won't promote anyone here, but avoid Ringside News, especially when it comes to something as serious as this. So, take that as you will. I don't personally listen or read ringside news very often, so it doesn't really have an impact on me.
I mean, but I read a little bit of everything. I try to space my sources out so I'm not getting too much of a one-sided view. So I bring a little bit of Ringsider News, a little bit of 411 Insider, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just another idea of WWE trying to control the narrative. I mean, yeah, WWE on Fox Twitter account, it's all WWE just trying to control the narrative. So whether this is like a part of a bigger thing, I'm not really sure where this leads to.
Well, the funny thing is Ringsider News actually announced something in response to this. They are going to be now handing out T-shirts outside of Monday Night Raw.
Wow. So, well, we'll see. Well, we'll see how that goes out for them, because depending on how close they are to the venue, you know how WWE likes to be, so they might get a visit from security. Mm-hmm. We also had, I don't remember exactly how recent this was, but we had WWE telling, and you mentioned this to me, telling comic book venues that if they support AEW, that they're going to be pulling WWE talent from all conventions.
Yes, so there's a story going around right now that convention places have been told, if you book All Elite Wrestling talent, we will pull WWE talent from conventions.
The funny thing is that I don't think it matters.
No. First of all, the people who are going to Comic-Con more likely to be AEW fans than indie wrestling fans. Second of all, WWE does meet and greets everywhere.
Yeah, you can see Roman and Seth Rollins and all those guys at any WWE show, any freaking like live event.
Yeah, like a house show.
Yeah, like it doesn't. They do so many of them.
I could go to Evolve next month and meet Keith Lee and Tommaso Ciampa.
Exactly. So it's pointless. It's just another show of WWE just being petty for no reason. And it's not going to help them in any way. Like, I'm the comic book guys. I'm like, whatever, okay, pull your talent. Who cares?
Exactly. I would rather have Kenny here, who's going to make me $100 billion on autographs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, especially because you got to think that, like, the way they pull their revenue, WWE pulls their revenue, is definitely probably more intrusive than the way the indie guys do it. So.
Well, and even now that they're with All Elite Wrestling, I mean, those guys are, again, in it for the love of wrestling. In fact, Matthew Hardy was at I believe it was C2E2 was last week, and then he was at a convention this week as well. And he was talking about how he was so thrilled to see everybody who stuck with him through his pro wrestling career for the last 28 years, and how he's so happy to finally be able to do things like this just for the love of it.
I do kind of roll my eyes at the emphasis on pro wrestling when you did spend like the majority of your last like 20 years in WWE. So whatever, Jericho. I mean, I love it, but it's like, come on, dude. Like, who are you fooling? Or not Jericho.
I was like, what?
Matt Hardy. Excuse me.
Jericho would be caught dead at a Comic-Con.
Yeah, like who are you fooling, man? Come on. So. Anyway, we also have JBL getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this past week. So
be a star.
Good on you, Mr. John Bradshaw Layfield. Regardless of what you may think about him as an individual, as a character, and as a wrestler, he was still definitely deserving of a WWE Hall of Fame induction. The transformation from Bradshaw to JBL, one of the most innovative and creative things we've seen character-wise, so absolutely deserving of the induction. Again, whatever you think about him or not, he's still very deserving.
I mean, he's a wrestling god, so
yeah. So he
made a champion in SmackDown history,
and he made a clothesline a finisher. So, and it looked a damn good looking one too. So, good on you, Mr. JBL. Lastly, if you somehow missed our Wednesday Night War review, and I know it came out a little late, just a tad bit.
Never.
Never. And if you've been living under a rock and you missed all the AEW news from this past week, guess who popped up on Dynamite this past Wednesday?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yes. So he made his appearance in a promo with Cody Rhodes. So that was incredible. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit later in our compare and contrast segment when we talk about the Johnny Gargano segment against the Jake the Snake Roberts promo segment later on today. So we'll get more into that later. But yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts appearing on AEW, and he's there because of a client.
My client, Brock Lesnar. No? No, Brock's not jumping ship.
Oh, they couldn't afford Brock. My man would walk in and say, hey, whatever Jericho and Moxley are making, I want like quadruple that. And I'm going to show up like once a year. Thanks.
You know what would be really, really funny? Brock comes out as one of those love of pro wrestling guys.
Oh, God.
He's like, you know what? I've always loved the business. Vince has been holding me down. He built this character.
That'd
be great.
That would just blow my mind at that point. I mean, if that happens, then I guess, I don't even know, the sky is green and, like, I don't even know at that point. Everything I know is a lie.
Water is dry.
Yeah. Yes. So, we're actually going to jump now into something that we've been kind of teasing these last couple of weeks, and now we're finally going to do it. And that is we're going to talk about some fantasy booking stuff.
So, one of the things that we've talked about consistently between the two of us for fantasy booking for a very, very, very long time is the possibility of Vince McMahon giving up the company, giving it to Triple H, and Triple H finally agreeing to terms on a World Wrestling Classic.
Yes, it would feature all major players in the pro wrestling industry, including WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan. Am I missing anybody?
No. So the way that we've set this up is we have 8 wrestlers from AEW, 8 superstars from WWE, 4 from Ring of Honor, 4 from Impact, 4 from New Japan, and 4 slots that we are leaving at large to anybody that we feel like got snubbed, especially because there's been some movement on the list.
Yes.
When we originally started talking about this idea, Lance Archer was a guy who was in my New Japan list, and Colt Cabana was a guy who was in my Ring of Honor list.
And within the past week, they've both ended up in AEW.
And neither of them are going to make the AEW list.
Hell no.
So we've actually come into this with 12 spots secured, and those are the Ring of Honor, Impact, and New Japan contestants, just to clear things up for you guys, especially because, not a ton of people are huge fans of the indies. So I figure it'd probably be easiest for us to throw those guys in the order that they belong, and then we'll talk about where everybody is in the American companies, and we'll see how far we get along the fantasy booking line tonight. So your contestants from Impact Wrestling: the one and only female contestant, Tessa Blanchard; Sami Callihan; Moose, and T.J. Perkins. The Ring of Honor contestants are the number 1 seed, Ring of Honor World Champion, Rush. Number 2, Jay Lethal. Number 3, Marty Scurll. And just because we love him, number 4, Flip Gordon.
Yay.
All the flippy stuff. And then New Japan, it was actually difficult to make the New Japan list. The other 2, it was...
You mean all 4 spots aren't just Okada?
Okada gets 4 bids. The finals is Okada versus Okada.
Yep.
It's Tetsuya Naito, the world champion, at number 1. Kazuchika Okada, number 2. Will Ospreay, number 3. And Hiromu Takahashi.
I kid. Of course, I kid. I poke fun at New Japan all the time, especially after Wrestle Kingdom. But regardless, no, they do have a collection of great talent, and that's a great list of guys.
So this is where it gets difficult.
Yes.
We have left ourselves a pool full of AEW and WWE guys to pick from, and we have 8 slots to fill. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just go through kind of the list of what we have, and we're going to have to discuss who makes it, who doesn't make it, and where they make it. So we're going to start with AEW because the list is a little bit shorter, and it's going to be slightly less controversial than us snubbing quite a few people from WWE, probably only to be placed on the at-large bid list.
Yeah.
So we have, and this is in no particular order, Hangman Adam Page, Chris Jericho,
baby,
Cody, Darby Allin, Jake Hager, the AEW World Champion,
Jon Moxley.
that guy, Kenny Omega, MJF.
It's better than you and you know it.
Pac, Pentagon Jr.,
El Pentagon,
and his brother Rey Fenix.
Rey Fenix.
And one member from Scorpio Sky, from SCU, Scorpio Sky.
We are the best, Scorpio Sky.
I hate you. So I believe, if my math is correct, and it probably isn't because I'm a liberal arts major, that's 12. So...
Oh, it's so true, it hurts.
So that's 12. We have 8 spots to fill. Is there anyone who just outright up front, you're like, nah, that guy ain't it?
There is, but you're not going to like it.
If you say Jericho, I'm punching you in the throat.
It's not Jericho.
Who is it?
It's MJF. I love MJF. I do. But I love him. I love The Miz.
Yeah. The only reason I saw fit to even include him on the list is he's undefeated.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be such a great story for him to lose to Tessa Blanchard?
It's just, if there's two people, or excuse me, not two people, one person that I would put in his place, you probably already know who it is, Sammy Guevara.
Now, I thought about that. Now, the issue with Sammy Guevara is, A, his record is not particularly great in singles matches. Yes. And B, I've already put 2 members of the Inner Circle in there.
I know.
So, we will remove MJF from the list.
I put Wardlow in there, maybe. Just because I want to see more of that.
So, we have...
that behemoth of a man in that. Oh, God.
So, we have 11 guys. We have 8 spots. Is there like a bona fide number 1 seed? I feel like there is.
God, there is, but it's like between 2 guys.
Yeah, Kenny and Moxley.
You got the first one right.
Kenny and Cody?
I was gonna say Cody.
What is wrong with you? Moxley's a champion.
I love Cody.
Okay, well then we have to give it to Kenny because it's not Cody.
I mean, yes, Moxley's the champion, but Cody is just... When you think AEW, what's the first name that comes up? Cody Rhodes. He is the company.
Mine's Chris Jericho, but that's just... Okay, so
we'll
agree to Kenny first,
yes.
Cody second, and Mox third?
Yeah, Moxley would probably be third.
Okay, so we have 5 more spots to fill.
This is, I think, these last 5 are probably where things get a little controversial. Because I already know who you probably want to put at number 4, and you know who I probably want to put at number 4.
I think you don't know who I want to put in number 4.
Oh, that kind of worries me then.
You thought I was going to say Jericho?
I do think you're going to say Jericho.
Yeah, since he lost the title, I had him as a number 1 seed. Now, does he even make it?
Ooh.
I don't know. Does he? No. I think actually we both have the same guy in mind for number 4. As much as I hate to admit it, he's hot right now.
And that, if I'm correct, it's Hangman Adam Page.
Yes, it's alcoholic Adam Page.
Cowboy stuff.
So Adam Page is off the board. 4 more spots to fill. Is it just me, or can we just get rid of Jake Hager? He's very, very good at what he does in the ring. But he's only had 2 matches.
He's undefeated.
He's undefeated in Bellator, too.
Yeah.
Which makes him a bona fide badass.
It's one of those things where, you have to either, A, keep Hager and, knock off someone like, I don't know, like a Pac or a Scorpio, or you have to... I don't even know, maybe take off the veteran and maybe knock off Jericho, but I can't justify removing Jericho for Hager, so...
No. So I think our safe move here is to remove Hager, but keep in mind that we do have to select 4 at-large guys at the end of the year.
That is fair.
Or at the end of the year. At the end of all of this.
This is a year-long thing.
And he could be one of our at-large guys.
Yes.
You never know, because it doesn't have to just take into account what he's done in AEW. It can take into account what he's done outside the company, Bellator, whatever. So we have 6 names for 4 spots, and I'm done being able to find cuts.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and throw out a number 5 guy. It's pretty easy for me.
Chris Jericho?
No.
Darby Allin?
No.
What?
Number 5, I'm going El Pentagon Jr.
Penta. Okay.
Before he became a tag team with Rey Fenix, he was widely regarded as one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. Still is. It's just people may have forgot because he's been in the Lucha Bros for so long, but he is fantastic. He's in that conversation with Kenny, AJ Styles, Okada. Yeah, he's in that conversation. So.
All right, buck stops here. The buck stops here. He's not sliding further than 6, Marcus.
This is where the disagreement's gonna go. I can't justify it over Pac,
He's got 1 loss in singles action.
I know, but Pac is
in like a year and a half.
Pac puts on like 5-star classics, win or lose.
And Pac would be a really good 7 seed.
And you know what? What better than having the sleeper pick, Jericho at number 8 coming in and
facing like Brock Lesnar?
Well, it'd be the injustice. Like, how can you put Jericho at 8? He has 1 loss, and then he comes in as like the underdog. I mean,
okay. I will settle at 7. I will not put him at 8.
All right, but I actually. For my number 6 pick, I'm probably going to go Darby Allin.
Yep, that would be my pick as well.
Number 7, you said Jericho will not slide any further, so...
I have the computer, goddammit.
And number 8 is the tough one.
Yeah, this is where it's going to be, what do we do?
Well, for me, I'm already knocking out Rey Fenix. I love you, Rey, but I don't put you over Pac or Scorpio.
Rey Fenix is the most talented on the rope high flyer possibly in the world.
But he's like Kalisto if you took away the botches.
But that would be so cool.
The problem is, the last couple times I've seen him, he has put some botches up there.
He had one really bad botch. And it was ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, look. I'll concede Rey Fenix. I don't know what to do still.
For me, after you knock out Rey, it's pretty cut and dry. I'm going Scorpio Sky.
That makes one of us.
Well, the reason I say that, Scorpio Sky, since entering the company, has been one of the most athletic guys in the company. He carries that SCU tag team, on his back. He, basically single-handedly won the titles, kind of like Adam Page did. He's amazing. I love the guy. He's oodles of charisma. His Barack Obama impression is spot on. So I don't know. Scorpio Sky, that's my guy.
Pac is possibly one of the most talented pound-for-pound pro wrestlers I've ever witnessed in my life. But I agree it should be Scorpio Sky, but there's one reason. With AEW's ranking, as we're putting it, it needs to be what they've done in company. Pac, about 500 in company. You look at what he's done in Dragon Gate.
Yes.
That puts him on top. But this isn't what he's done in Dragon Gate, which is why, again, great at-large pick.
I mean, if we were going off of, other companies, too, you could say then Cody wouldn't even be at the top, because his win-loss record in WWE is awful.
Well, I mean, this is also recent history. I mean, what would Jericho would have to be number 1? He'd have the most wins out of anybody.
Well, yeah, Jericho would be number 1 seed in the whole tournament almost. But That takes care of all Elite Wrestling. We now move over to World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yay.
Now this, of course, is an expansive list because it's not just including quote-unquote main roster talent on Raw and SmackDown.
But
it's also including
NXT
205
UK.
Live, NXT, NXT UK. It's a big list, and we had to somehow narrow it down to a few people.
And by a few, you mean 21.
21.
Nearly 3 times as many as we have spots for.
Yeah, out of a roster of hundreds, we narrowed it down to 21. Don't be angry if your guy didn't make the 21 and then subsequently doesn't make the 8 because there's too many of them.
And quite frankly, if I left anybody out of the 21, because I did most of the skimming, tell me. If you think anybody's missing, this is the 21 wrestlers from WWE in no particular order as well, although I think most of them are in alphabetical. Adam Cole, Baby. The Phenomenal AJ Styles. Aleister Black.
Braun Strowman.
My client, Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
My Claymore is bigger, Drew McIntyre.
The Prince, Finn Balor.
Oof. The 16-time world champion.
The GOAT. Never forgive them for that, by the way.
Keith Lee.
Kevin Owens.
I was going to bite your finger. Pete Dunne.
Please don't. I'm truly sorry.
Randy Orton. The one and only Ricochet.
Oh, rest in peace. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I'm just the guy. The big dog.
Ooh, ah.
You couldn't tell. It's Roman Reigns.
The Monday Night Messiah.
Burn it down.
What is his gimmick now?
The artist known as?
Is he still that?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
The guy who don't talk because Sami Zayn talks for him?
Sorry, no speak English. And that's not me, but that's literally what he says.
You know what? For the purposes of this, Triple H is taking control of the company. He's the king of strong style, okay?
As he should have been all along.
The Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Also, rest in peace.
Yikes. Johnny Wrestling.
Johnny Turncoat. The Sicilian psychopath, Tommaso Ciampa.
And Volter.
So that is our 21. I see no problems really with your list. I feel like everyone on there has pretty much has earned their spot. As we start to go down the list more, I'll dissect it a little more. But I think everything on there is fine.
Well, that's the thing. I tried to expand the list so I didn't leave anybody out. Because it's going to be easy to cut a couple people off the top of this list.
Yes.
Sorry, Aleister Black.
Oh, yeah.
So... We have 8 spots. We have 21 guys. Notice Undertaker, Goldberg, they're not on the list.
No.
Shocking as that may be, WWE.
I know it's surprising.
Any major? I mean, off the top, you can cut Aleister Black, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Outside of Aleister, I don't see anybody who's like an obvious must-cut guy.
There's one more, and you're not gonna like it. It's probably super duper controversial.
You're gonna say Brock?
WWE stands. Don't come after me on the Twitter machine, but it's John Cena.
Nope, not doing it.
And there's a reason that going by your logic, even he's one of the old guys. He's not a guy that's no longer in the company very often. He's an entertainment guy. He's on the Hollywood scene. He's been there, done that. His time's come and gone, my man.
This hurts. Because he is genuinely still one of the best in the ring. It's not like Taker, who has to use a wheelchair to get to the ring.
I know. But it's the same thing like when The Rock comes back. Rock's never bad. He's still amazing in the ring, but his time has come and gone. He still would be one of the most over guys. I mean, he rivals John Cena when he pops up on Raw. But it's time, man. I mean, for the last year and a half, 2 years, John Cena, we couldn't see you. And I know that's corny and cliche, but it's the truth. It's not your company anymore. Bye-bye, John. We'll miss you.
Moment of silence for John Cena. Thank you.
That was probably the most controversial thing I've ever said in this podcast.
That just hurt me to my core, dude.
WWE stands, please don't kill me. More specifically, John Cena stands, stay away from me.
Okay. Do we have a bona fide number one?
No, actually. Because you can make the case for your champion. You can also make the case just off a wrestling standpoint. But then you got at least 2 or 3 guys that are almost equal in that regards. So
you could argue, obviously you can argue Brock.
Yes.
That's obvious. You can argue AJ. You can argue Seth. People would certainly argue Roman.
And your WWE guys, I mean, myself included, you're throwing Daniel Bryan's hat in the ring as well.
Mm-hmm. People could argue Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa based on wrestling.
So it's that number 1 seed is very difficult to put out. So I'm gonna do it the easy way and just put it as the champion and say it's Brock. It's too hard, man, to break that down and try to justify anyone else. Because then you have to just go, who's the number 1? And it's just...
See, but here's the problem. We took the easy way out. Now who do we put it to?
I think it's a little bit of an easier pill to swallow, though, for number 2, to say someone like AJ Styles.
I was going to say AJ for number 1. And although, Brock belongs there. He does. I mean, no matter how much I hate the fact that he fights, once every month, he belongs there. Yeah. I think AJ's an easy number 2 pick. Okay, so we got those out of the way. Here's the issue. We still have quite a few names on the list.
We do, but I think as we start picking people off, for me at least, it gets easier and easier with each number.
See, this is the issue. I see so many guys here who you can make an argument for. Personally, not the biggest Roman guy, obviously. But he has been fantastic in the ring this last year.
I mean, I'd have never thought he was bad in the ring. I just thought his character was the bollocks.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the one where you could just say Randy Orton's trash in the ring, get him out of here.
Methodical.
Yeah.
But when Randy tries, who's better? So
yeah. Personally, number 3, I'm going to say Seth Rollins.
There's only one other guy that I would want to put at number 3, and that's Adam Cole, baby. He is your NXT champion. He was reportedly your PWI and Wrestler of the Year for 2019. Mm-hmm. Who's had a better year than Adam Cole? It's hard for me to... It was hard to not have him in your top 3. It's a very difficult choice.
I can stomach Adam Cole at 3.
I don't think Rollins is any lower than 4, though. Rollins is definitely your number 4. Because Rollins is... again, as much as I can't stand the guy personally, He's phenomenal in the ring. He is an amazing talent.
So we have 4 spots left to fill. And the names still on the list are Braun Strowman, Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Keith Lee, Kevin Owens, Pete Dunne, Randy Orton, Ricochet, Roman Reigns, Shinsuke, Bray Wyatt, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Walter.
Number 5 for me. It's between 2 people for me. It's between the big dog, the biggest of dogs in the yard.
The Bigly Dogs?
Yeah.
The most Bigly Dog.
And Johnny Wrestling.
Oh, man. Oh, this hurts. This hurts a lot because I'm Mr. Pro Wrestling, can't stand WWE entertainment guy. I think Roman goes 5.
Here's the sad part. I think you're right.
Oh, no.
Ooh, ah! But then number 6 has to be Johnny, right?
Yeah.
We got 2 spots left, and we still got names like Finn Balor, Daniel Bryan, Keith Lee, Shinsuke Nakamura. Walter hasn't even been discussed yet.
Also, I hate to break this to you, we did leave a guy off the list.
Oh, we left a couple guys off, but...
Matt Riddle.
Oh no, I knew that already.
I didn't even think about that till now.
There's also a guy that, 2 guys that we left off the list. Well, I guess you could just narrow it down to 1 guy, and while they haven't been used very well, really ever in WWE, but mainly in this last year or so, a guy that when he was in New Japan, people were saying was one of the best wrestlers in the company.
Carl Anderson?
Carl Anderson.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so...
But with 2 spots left...
rather than making a hasty decision on who to put in the 2 spots, I think we should have a very, very quick, candid discussion about who is not going to make those 2 spots.
Well, for me, it's fairly easy. Bray Wyatt's not making that list. Ricochet is not making that list.
Kevin Owens
is not making that list. Braun Strowman has never had a chance in hell, personally, for me, making this at all. Pete Dunne does not make my list.
I could see him sneaking in the 8. I could.
I'll keep him for you, but he doesn't, for me, does not make my list. Everyone else, I feel like, has a pretty... Actually, no, there's one other person. And again, WWE's NXT stands, do not kill me. Tommaso Ciampa, I don't think makes my list. And you want to know the reason why? Because Johnny Gargano did. And I hate to say it, but they are so great and so amazing, but so similar. I can't have them both.
Okay, so I will go ahead and get rid of Pete Dunne, but I'm gonna of course make the same note that I've made a couple of times. Possible at-large pick.
Exactly.
Done a lot of really good work on the British Indies the last year as well.
Oh, and same thing for Ciampa. He could sneak in there but he just, for my top 8, like I said, it's only because Johnny Gargano is in there that Tommaso Ciampa is not. I know, how ironic.
I think we can get rid of Shinsuke Nakamura.
I agree. I love Shinsuke. But, yeah.
And I think it's the same reason. His work outside WWE has been great.
Fantastic.
And then he made the main roster. I mean, even his NXT work was really good. So, again, another guy we can re-examine for the at-large bid. Mm-hmm. So we have Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Keith Lee, Randy Orton, and Walter for 2 spots.
So, This gets difficult. We got to make some hard choices here, my man. And I guess Mr. Methodical, Randy Orton, is going to have to be our first cut from this final group.
You're not going to like me. I want to kill the Yes movement.
I cannot co-sign on that.
You got rid of John Cena. And I know that Daniel Bryan, at least since he came back, has been mostly active.
He's been on this show almost every week.
But when I think Daniel Bryan, I think retired.
Because he had to. It wasn't his choice.
Well, there's a reason Edge isn't on this list either.
Yeah, Edge was
did that, actually.
Edge was gone for 9+ years. Daniel Bryan was gone for like 2.
Look, I don't know what world we live in that Keith Lee doesn't make this.
We can have a really hard fought discussion about whether it's Keith Lee or Walter or Balor at 8th spot.
So we're just cutting Drew McIntyre?
I love Drew McIntyre, but I think you get the same thing out of McIntyre that you get from Keith Lee or Walter. You get the huge guy who can do athletic things. You also kind of got that with Brock. Him and Brock are very similar, not in terms of obviously like motivation, but in terms of the huge athletic dude who's a freak of nature. I think you got that with Brock Lesnar. The only way I could justify taking Daniel Bryan off is if you tell me number 7 is Finn Balor. Because if I had to choose right now who is not only done more, but who's like right now is the guy, it's Finn Balor. Not that Daniel Bryan isn't an amazing talent, but who's hotter? And that I don't want to say who's hotter because
have you seen Finn Balor?
Well, I was gonna say, oh God, the Yes movement's gonna come after me. I already got the John Cena fans on my tail. I don't need the Yes movement all after me because I know whenever this starts happening, it's the whole crowd and it's everywhere he goes. So I can't say who's hotter in terms of reaction, but who's hotter in terms of what they've done for me lately. It's the Prince. So yeah.
Okay, so we have one spot left. Daniel Bryan, Keith Lee, and Walter.
If Bryan didn't make 7, he's not making 8 for me.
I eliminate Walter.
Oh.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because he, for me, is a lock for an at-large. He has done so much, not just in NXT and NXT UK, but his work in Progress and on the British indie scene this year has been out of this effing world.
Well, I mean, if Walter is, if he's going to be in the discussion for the at-large, then it's a pretty easy choice for me. Like I said, if Daniel Bryan didn't make 7, he's not making 8. It's going to be Keith Lee.
That's pretty easy. I mean, look, no one loves Walter more than I do, but that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah.
So we have 4 spots to give away.
Now, keep in mind the at-large takes into account everyone. It's not just WWE, but it's WWE, AEW, anyone that we've missed in the wrestling scene.
So there's a couple guys that I want to pose before we get into who it's going to be, because we've talked about a couple AEW, WWE guys, but there's a couple guys outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Cobb.
Yep, that was who immediately came to mind.
And you won't like this, but Colt Cabana.
Oh, I definitely don't like that.
Matt Hardy. Yeah, tough, isn't it?
Let's bring John Cena back, why don't we?
I love you. You want to talk about what's the hottest movement right now? It's the Free the Delete movement.
It's just, it's like the where's Brady going discussion. It's hot because where is he going? He's the hot free agent. He's been underutilized in New England or underutilized in WWE, and he is amazing. I love you, Matthew Hardy. I think you're going to do amazing wherever you go. But if we're talking about a World Wrestling Classic here, I don't know, Chief. I don't know if Matt Hardy's on my list.
Okay, so
I don't think either of the Hardy brothers are on my list. Maybe 10 years ago.
There's a reason I didn't list Jeff. Jeff looks like a fish out of water when he's wrestling. It's kind of awful.
Jeff's never been the technical guy. He's been the I jump off crazy high things and do
except now when he does it,
body.
It looks like he dies and is paralyzed.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna propose Walter for the list.
So there's a reason that I didn't say a name while I did float the idea of a Jeff Cobb, of a Walter. And this all depends on how our brackets break down. But I'm going to use the same argument I used for Drew McIntyre. And that's that we've already got Keith Lee. You've already got one huge guy that can do super athletic things. Do we need another?
Yes. If he is the best available.
Well, let's talk about who we have available. I mean, the list is large, my guy. So
another guy, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Hell, Daniel Bryan was on this list. Tommaso Ciampa is on this list.
Look, dude, I'm gonna be frank with you. I don't want Daniel Bryan anywhere near this. He's stale, to me. Not the yes movement, not the character. Just his in-ring style feels stale.
You ask any wrestler who's been in the ring with Daniel Bryan, they tell you he's the best. They tell you he is the best wrestler in the world. Like Johnny Gargano, AJ, they always point to who's the best in the company. They all name D-Bry. You can't have a wrestling classic and not have one of the best wrestlers in the world on that. You just can't.
Well, if you want, this is the way I look at it. They all look up to him as the guy who started this movement, who created this style of wrestling.
It's funny because AJ's older.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, you want to take it to its roots. The first person to start doing wrestling this way was Ricky Steamboat. It has nothing to do with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan just brought it back in an age full of stone colds.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about putting Daniel Bryan on the list because he started a movement. I'm talking about putting him on the list purely because he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. His talent supersedes 99% of people on this planet.
Eesh.
I don't think that's debatable. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. You can't have a top 10 list and D-Bry not be on that list.
I'm not going to let you see my top 10 list then.
I don't want to see it. If Daniel Bryan's not on there, then it doesn't matter to me. You can't not have a top 10 and Daniel Bryan not be on that list. So and you can't have a World Wrestling Classic and one of the best pro wrestlers in the world not be in it. Daniel Bryan's got to be in that 4.
Well, if you already have guys like AJ Styles and Kenny Omega, why do you need Daniel Bryan?
Well, Daniel Bryan, again, is one of the best wrestlers in the world. I don't think anyone's arguing that Walter's one of the best wrestlers in the world. No,
he's one of the best big wrestlers.
He's one of the best big men. It's like a subcategory. He's definitely one of the best big guys, and he's impressed me this year. But again, if we're talking about, I'll even break it down. If we talk top 50, I don't think Walter's in there.
Dude, you are so far off base on that.
I don't. I could probably, you let me sit down and I name you the top 50 best wrestlers in the world, Walter doesn't make my list.
This is what happens when I pay no attention to main roster and you pay no attention to NXT UK.
But it has nothing to do with the main roster because Daniel Bryan, again, was an indie guy coming off the indie scene. He was regarded as one of the best when he was on the indies.
What, like 15?
Doesn't matter. He hasn't gotten any worse. He's still one of the best wrestlers in the world.
What I'm trying to say is I wasn't into the indies when I was 15. I didn't even know there was wrestling outside WWE when I was 15.
But just because you didn't know it existed doesn't mean it didn't exist. Did you know about AJ Styles 15 years ago when he was in TNA as well?
No, actually I didn't.
That's my point. And AJ Styles is still on this list. Still one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Because in WWE, he has done it.
Has Daniel Bryan not done it in WWE World Heavyweight Champion, the whole Yes Movement thing? The only reason it ended was because he had to retire. He was at the mountaintop. He's done it all in the company.
I don't know, man. I don't see it. I just don't. It doesn't mesh. It doesn't mesh for me. I will happily put him on this list, and I'll let that happen. But I just don't love Daniel Bryan.
I don't get it. I mean, you're the pro wrestling guy, and you have a guy that does it all. Like, you put him in the ring with AJ. We've seen it. AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. It was magic. It wasn't like Shinsuke and AJ. This was like, I don't get it. You put Kenny Omega and Daniel Bryan, and you could sell a stadium out with that match alone.
Yeah,
I mean, even if we
perhaps
I'll let you go just real quick. Even if we go outside of talent wise alone, if we get into name value, like, you're on John Cena levels with Daniel Bryan.
Perhaps this is my own fault for the time that I stopped watching wrestling, because when I got back in, he'd just injured himself. So my experience with Daniel Bryan is him coming back, the run with Rowan, and his most recent matches, which have, I mean, by Daniel Bryan standards, not been great.
Can't really fault Daniel Bryan for bad matches, not even bad matches, but subpar matches with Eric freaking Rowan. Yeah. And even then, Daniel Bryan still got that Shawn Michaels thing where he can carry a broomstick to a decent match, and he did that with Rowan. I mean, we came on after reviewing that and going, yeah, that wasn't terrible. So
I'll agree to Daniel Bryan.
I do think now. I do think there is a place on this list for Walter. We have to consider not just WWE guys. We got to consider, I mean, if we're talking, God, you could fill the whole damn tournament with just WWE guys if you wanted to, because that's how much talent they hoard from everyone else. But I gotta consider. That's the only thing, is I'm trying to consider everyone. I'm trying to consider the AEW guys that we left off. Like, God, I feel dirty not having Pac in here.
Well, and that was going to be one of my next guys, because we talked about it. His work in Dragon Gate is just, I mean, it, as much as it infuriates me. And in fact, would you feel comfortable putting Pac number 1 on the at-large list?
I'll let it happen.
Okay.
Because I know how you feel about D-Bry, so I'll let Pac slide number 1, because more recent, Pac's done more recently.
Okay, so we have Pac and Daniel Bryan on the at-large list, 1 and 2.
1 AEW, 1 WWE. We got 2 spots left on the at-large. We still have guys like Walter, Shinsuke, Drew McIntyre, Luke Gallows,
Jeff Cobb.
God, it just, the more you...
Boom. Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana is a thing. I mean,
and of course, we haven't taken into effect. I mean, we could take another guy from Impact, RVD or Tommy Dreamer or Rhino.
Well, as tempting as that is.
Or how about Sean Spears?
I love Sean Spears.
The chairman.
I love you, Sean Spears.
You and your 5-10 record.
But yes, you're nowhere near you don't sniff a top 500. So
we're leaving out one of the biggest names in WWE, Cain Velasquez.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Velasquez. You know who else we're forgetting too is Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I feel like I don't know.
But I don't. But why go for Rey Mysterio? Why go for the original when you can go for the new cool young thing, right?
Rey Fenix?
No, man, Humberto Carrillo.
No, that's not happening. No, Humberto's not making my list. I love you, Humberto, And you're very good in the ring.
And you got them dimples, man. He's adorable.
Oh, my God. You know, I'd have Angel Garza before Humberto.
Yeah.
He's just got so much charisma, dude.
Oh, charisma, yeah, but
I'd love to see him in a match with, say, Cody.
I think overall, you got
Penta Garza. That would be a great match. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think overall, Angel Garza is the whole package. I'm just thinking, again, with this whole classic, I'm thinking pure wrestling, and I just think Humberto is just that much better. But definitely, I wouldn't put either one of them in this, especially over when you have someone like Rey Fenix floating around. Yeah.
So, we got 2 spots.
I feel like we're grasping at straws to not put Walter on this list. I really was trying not to, just because you have Keith Lee and Brock already. But
so you have to take this into account too, though, because this is the way seeding is going to work. The WWE and AEW guys, whatever seed they received is going to be their seed in one of the 8-person brackets.
Yes.
The at-large, Ring of Honor, Impact, and New Japan stars are going to be either that or the one below it. So if you're a 1, you're a 1 or a 2. If you're a 2, you're a 3 or a 4. So if we put Walter as the 4, there's a possibility of a first-round matchup of Walter and Brock.
Yeah.
There's also a possibility of Walter and Kenny Omega.
Yikes. So yeah, I guess Walter needs to be in here somewhere, whether it's 3 or 4, it doesn't really matter to me, but he does need to be in here somewhere.
I will concede the 4.
Okay, yeah, he can be number 4.
Because that'll help with booking.
Now, this last one is just...
This is going to be extremely difficult.
You can take Jeff Cobb out of rotation.
Yeah, I know, because now too many big guys.
Not only that, but I feel like he is an exact replica of Keith Lee minus the charisma. So, I don't think you need Keith Lee.
Maybe slightly more athletic than Keith Lee.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, my answer to this is going to be Shinsuke Nakamura. The work that he's done in NXT, New Japan, does it excuse his WWE main roster run? No. But can you keep a guy like that out?
I can if he's going up against the guy I'm going to say. And the same reason I'm going to put him on this list is the same reason I kept him out of the original rotation. And that's Tommaso Ciampa. Because the reason I want Ciampa in here is because he's even for me with someone like Johnny Gargano, and also with him being on that last 4, there's a possibility we see Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa.
That is fair. I mean, we can adjust the seating rules, and yeah. You know what? Screw the seating rules. I'll agree to that. Tommaso Ciampa as our final pick for the at-large.
Shinsuke, I love you.
So we have our official 32-man World Wrestling Classic all set up.
Feel free in the comments to tell us, mainly me probably, why I'm wrong, why we're wrong.
Why would you leave John Cena off the list? You can't see me.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Within the next couple of weeks, we will reveal the seeding for the tournament, and we will begin the booking process, which we will do live here on the Weekend Wrap-Up.
Yes. So, now that we are finished with that, we just have one more thing to go, and then before we end the Weekend Wrap-Up and get into Elimination Chamber, and that is... Actually, no, I lied. We have 2 more things that we have to do. Because we have to talk about carryover from Wednesday Night Wars. And that is we kind of ran out of time on our Wednesday night video, as you saw, our battery life for the GoPro. only extends so far. And we had something huge happen, and that was Nick agreed with me to pick NXT, but we also kind of weren't able to really get into our reasonings why, and also talk about, of course, the Jake the Snake segment versus the Johnny Gargano segment, because Nick, while he did pick NXT, said something a little controversial at the end there, at least for me, and that was he said that no segment on NXT made him feel anything in comparison to any segment on AEW, which wowzers. So, let's get into that.
Yeah. So I mean, look, it's simple. I mean, and it's not a hit on Johnny Gargano in any way. It's just Jake Roberts has struggled his entire life with addiction and with all kinds of substance abuse, alcoholism. So to see him be able to turn his life around, to see him get back into a ring, and to see the emotion on his face as he's grasping at the ropes, kissing the turnbuckle, taking it all in, hearing the crowd chant his name, which, of course, as a dastardly heel from the time before kayfabe was dead, that's not something you got. But, to see how far he's come from, losing to Stone Cold in the King of the Ring tournament and getting the Austin 316 put on him, and of course the shape he was in. I mean, Jake Roberts was just absolutely in awful shape, and
yeah, he was bad.
He came out and even said that Vince McMahon had threatened to fine Jake Roberts if he got into better shape because it was better for the character.
Yeah.
So to see him show up in AEW and, I mean, not just the whole, middle finger to Vince thing,
his best
which is
friends
my
there,
favorite
too.
thing.
The guy that saved his life is in the company.
Yeah.
DDP, for those of you that don't know.
But to see him in AEW and him basically just saying, I'm in the best shape of my life because I took control of my life, and this is where I want to be. Like, that's the statement he's making. This is where I want to be because they're going to allow me to be who I want to be. I'm not going to have to worry about Vince McMahon saying, hey, you're in too good a shape, eat a couple more cheeseburgers and pop some pills. So
granted, that definitely wouldn't happen nowadays.
True. I don't know. It made me extremely emotional, and I suppose for all the wrong reasons, because his promo was not supposed to be emotion invoking.
Well, I would say all the right reasons, to be fair. I mean, they knew what they were doing, bringing him out there, and I guess that's I feel dirty even saying it. But I guess that is the reason why it doesn't go over the Johnny Gargano segment for me, is for that reason itself. Is because while it is emotional, it is amazing to see this guy who has been through the struggle that he has come back out there and have his moment in the sun and, be that guy to come out and put his rub on a new young talent, whoever it may be working under him, and cut a promo on Cody in the 2020. Like, it's amazing. It's hype. It's everything. All the words, the adjectives you can put on it to describe the segment. But something else you could say is this isn't for Jake the Snake because his intentions are pure, I'm sure. And I'm not even going to say it's intentional on AEW's part. I'm sure they didn't even consider this, but it is cheap in a sense. It is bringing out that nostalgia factor, bringing out that legend, that guy. The reaction you're going to get from bringing him out there. What the reaction is going to be, their emotional response because of what he's been through and because of who he is. You know what you're getting when you get Jake Roberts. It's the same thing when you bring out Ric Flair days after he has a heart attack, or what they did with Jerry Lawler. Like, it's very similar to that, and it's using real life to invoke an emotional response in entertainment. And while, you saw that with Carrie Fisher in Star Wars. And again, while I don't feel like it was malicious in any way. I don't feel like that was the intent from All Elite Wrestling, just like I don't feel like it's the intent from Star Wars or mostly from World Wrestling Entertainment, although I am a little bit more inclined to say it probably is from WWE, only because of what Stephanie McMahon said numerous times about the whole using emotion to drive storylines thing. But it doesn't change the fact that is the case, and the fact that simply using him is, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know that the response he's going to create. And it's that reason why I look at the Johnny Gargano segment and it's so raw. It's so, for a guy who, again, has been kind of seen as, oh, he can't talk, he can't cut promos, he can't be, not electric, but he can't drive an emotional response out of you, to be that passionate, that real on the mic, to not seem like he's just reading off a script, but to seem like everything he's saying is raw and real. To see Mauro Ranallo with all his struggles, and yeah, you could kind of say, well, yeah, you're doing the same thing with Mauro, but I mean, I don't want to
you certainly are doing the same thing with Mauro.
Well, I don't want to not that I want to say anyone's struggles are worse than anyone else's, but I don't really want to compare Mauro's to Jake the Snake's. I also understand that Mauro is a professional. He's very good at what he does, and they wouldn't have put him in that situation if they didn't think he could handle it. I'm sure he has full control of himself and his emotions. Hell, he's been in the company for years now. He's done stuff like this before. So I just feel like it's a little bit different when you do it with Mauro and Johnny Gargano compared to when you do it with Cody and Jake the Snake. It just feels a little bit more real for me. Not saying that the Jake the Snake thing isn't real, because it very much is. But it just seems less, I guess. I hate using the word cheap, but that's kind of where I lean for it.
See, you want to talk about cheap? Let's talk about DDP getting back in the ring.
Oh, well, I did say that.
That's very cheap.
I did say, I called that out.
When it comes to Jake Roberts, and the reason I don't think it's very cheap is two things. First of all, you do know what you're getting when you put Jake Roberts back out there. But anybody would know that. To avoid a cheap moment, what, you just gonna never let him back into a wrestling ring ever?
It's the fact that, again, it's not even if he didn't have all the stuff with his his abuse issues and everything, it's still that cheap legend bringing back the veteran pop that I can't stand. So regardless of what has happened with him in real life, he's still that Ric Flair, Undertaker, like, oh, it's the vet, it's the legend, like, type of deal, and everyone get all nostalgic in the 90s and the 80s, and it's just, I don't know, it's only happened in recent years, but I've gotten so sick and tired of the vets. Not the vets, but the legends. I mean, it's cool to see them, but when you have your Monday Night Raws, like your Raw 1000s or whatever, when the whole show is focused around, like, I don't know, like DX and like Undertaker comes out and like says a word and then that's the show, or like, again, when you have DDP getting in the ring,
I loved.
You had Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan fighting in TNA, and now we have Jake the Snake managing someone in AEW against Cody flipping Rhodes. It reaches a point where I just say, when's enough's enough, man? Like, and I get, even with this, I get that Jake isn't the main focus of whatever he's going to be doing, because it's all about the young guy that he's giving the rub to. I get that, but it's still, my thing is, if he comes out, like, he brings the guy out, whoever it is that he's bringing out, says, I'm endorsing this guy, and then we never see Jake the Snake again on TV, I will completely change my tune. But if we get the Paul Ellering type deal where, like, he's escorting his talent out,
Paul Ellering,
to a degree, mainly only because the Authors of Pain can't talk,
right?
So I guess it also depends on who the guy is. Right. But if we get the Paul Ellering deal where, like, you have Jake the Snake coming out every week, and because whoever it is, because of Jake the Snake, it's the get out, man. Like, just your moment's over. Like, let someone else be the spotlight.
Well, and that's the thing. I think we grew up in a time where the wrestling manager was not as prevalent. I mean, we've seen a couple, obviously, Paul Heyman, the big one. But there was a time when the wrestling manager was everything. Bobby the Brain Heenan and the Mouth of the South. And I feel like that's kind of where they're trying to go with this. Jake probably said, look, I want to get back into the business. I want to give back somehow, do what I can. And Cody said, well, you can be a manager.
But that's fine. Put him, you can have him, every so often pop up. You could have him, if he wants to be involved in the business, maybe do something backstage related, helping train the new young guys. Give information, you're a wealth of knowledge. Do something to help train people. But I just, be heard, not, excuse me, let your impact be felt,
heard, not seen.
Yeah, it's what Shawn Michaels does with NXT. Him and Triple H are all over that brand. And while Triple H, obviously, as a CRO, has to be a little bit more visible, you don't ever see Shawn Michaels. Yeah. Ever. And he's all over that company. So that's kind of my whole mindset is be the guy be the vet that's backstage, taking charge, teaching these young guys how it goes. But he's not coming out there and cutting promos and hogging the spotlight.
I just don't see it as hogging the spotlight. I think this one occasion, and I think maybe you're right, they did this purposely.
He earned the moment. And again, that's why I struggle to say things like hog the spotlight and stuff like that, because it's not to that point where he definitely earned he earned his moment back. Mm-hmm. He earned that opportunity. Come out there,
everything
say what you
he's fought through, he earned it.
It's just, for me, if I start seeing Jake the Snake popping up on Wednesday nights every week when I tune into Dynamite, I have a problem.
What's going to start bothering me is if he starts interfering with matches.
Pulls an Arn Anderson?
Yeah.
Another example.
Arn doesn't bother me. He doesn't bother me. He's on the sideline. It doesn't matter to me as long as he doesn't get involved.
But my thing with Arn, though, is that he always ends up being not even getting involved, but at some point in the match, the camera is on him for a good minute or two.
And this is my thing. I think they probably put Jake the Snake out there by himself for a promo, gave him the opportunity to soak in the spotlight, and next time he comes out, you'll probably see him with his protege, and you'll probably never see him alone. You'll never see him, Paul Heyman, come out on the stage and cut a promo for Brock.
Oh, even Paul Ellering, you'd see him cut promos by himself for the Authors of Pain. It was just who's being pushed here?
I highly doubt you'll see that. Now, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's different in AEW. I mean, Arn Anderson's done interviews, but not really on Dynamite. It's been hey, here's an interview on our YouTube channel with Arn Anderson talking about what he feels.
That's a little different than Arn Anderson cutting an interview on Dynamite and it being now we're backstage with Arn Anderson,
right.
That's
and I think that's probably what you'll see with Jake.
I guess. I mean, again, it won't annoy me to the degree as other people, as Goldberg. And then the only way I'm going to get annoyed is if we go on this streak of I see every week Jake the Snake on my television, I'm going to get annoyed depending on what he's doing. If he's just literally, if his whole role is literally just to walk his talent down to the ring and he stands there and does nothing.
Yeah, coaches him up even if he cuts a couple promos. I mean, as long as it's not every week, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
Yeah, if it's that, or if I'm seeing every week him cutting a promo for the talent, you know how you develop mic skills? You talk.
Yep.
And if you are taking that time away from whoever your talent is, unless they legit can't cut promos in English, then I guess that'd be a different story. If it's the Authors of Pain,
we're getting Kota Ibushi.
Then again, completely different story. But if it's someone that their mic skills,
Ibushi does speak English. That's my bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Their mic skills are fine, and you're just taking up the time, then yeah, I'll get annoyed. But again, I don't feel right being that guy and saying that because I know AEW's intentions are pure. I know they're not malicious. I don't even feel like Jake the Snake is doing it for those reasons. Sometimes things just happen, and no one may have intended on certain things happening, but it just kind of happens that way. So I just hope it doesn't go down that road.
Totally understandable. I think it's time to move on.
Yes, I think we've exhausted everything we can say about the Wednesday Night Wars. Now that we've wrapped that up and that's done and dusted, we need to get into the hottest pay-per-view of 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, Elimination Chamber predictions.
So I'm going to shoot straight with everybody here. We're not doing a drinking game for this because why would we?
I don't care enough to.
I mean, this pay-per-view makes me want to drink.
I mean, I was going to say it might help the night go by quicker.
Take a shot every time that a cell door opens.
There you go. So first, I guess we're kicking things off with Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo.
Which I can only assume is on the pre-show, but, that's a thing now.
It's a thing.
We do the pre-show now.
I don't think they're taking the belt off Andrade. I love Humberto, but I don't think he's ready yet. So I'm going to stick with Andrade.
I want to say Humberto, but, and this is a big but, I think Humberto's moment is going to come at Mania.
Okay.
So I think Andrade retains, but I think it leads to a match at Mania.
Okay.
Next, we get the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, in a match against Seth Rollins and Murphy.
I don't think that they're going to hot potato the championship this
Wouldn't
quickly.
be the first time.
No, it certainly wouldn't, but I feel like Seth and Buddy Murphy's time is up, so I'm going to go with their time is up.
My time is now.
Yep.
You can't see me. My time is now. Sorry. I miss you. I can't stop.
I miss you, John.
After just butchering him earlier.
I know. So I say I'm a John Cena fan. That's why it hurts. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Street Profits.
Easy pick. Street Profits.
All right. Next.
We have a handicap match.
Oh, boy.
For the Intercontinental Championship.
Is that how that works?
Braun Strowman versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
So does it matter who gets the pin? Do they become champion?
Whoever gets the pin becomes champion, right? That seems right.
I feel like, or is it just no? Regardless, it's Shinsuke.
Maybe this is a really good way to get Shinsuke out of that group.
Yeah. So,
Braun,
please, Braun.
Aleister Black versus AJ Styles in a no disqualification match.
So there's only one way AJ doesn't win this match, and it's if we get the inevitable Taker interference, choke slam, or something of the sort, something spooky, and then Aleister Black gets the win that way. So while that would be so easy to say, I want to just say it's going to be AJ, just because I feel like that's probably safe. Because you can never bet on Taker appearances.
I'm taking Aleister Black.
Okay.
And I am betting on a Taker appearance.
All right.
Not just for the possibility of AJ winning, but, I mean, if Taker's not there, then the OC just beats down on Aleister Black, and it's just a squash.
Fair point.
The SmackDown Tag Team Championship Elimination Chamber match. The Miz and John Morrison, who are the champions, take on the Usos, the New Day, Heavy Machinery, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, and my favorites, the Lucha House Party.
God, I don't even know who to pick for this, because, who cares?
Lucha House Party, right?
No, let's be honest, it's between three teams. It's between Miz and Morrison, Usos, and the New Day. So of those three, you have to go Who has a chance of winning more? I think you can take the New Day out. Excuse me, the Usos out of this. I don't think the Usos are winning the championship quite this quickly, especially after what's happened, not recently, but in recent months outside of the company. So I don't think they're getting it back. New Day would be the safe bet because, they win all the matches. But they're down a man still. That'd be Mr. Xavier Woods. And also, I feel like WWE is hot on Miz and Morrison right now. So I'm going to say Miz and Morrison retain.
Miz and Morrison. And hot take on this one, the Lucha House Party will make it to the top 4. 2 teams will be eliminated before that. And then we get the Raw Women's Championship #1 contenders match for WrestleMania, Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler.
Cool, so it all comes down to the AJ match.
Yep.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, based on one match,
we could have a new champion based off one. I'm gonna lose.
Based off of the possibility that the Undertaker shows up.
It's gonna lose.
It's gonna be really funny when he doesn't show up and I lose my absolute mind. All right, so
I am your probably soon to be former champion.
I thought at the beginning of this you said reign forever.
I did, and then I I didn't know what your picks were gonna be.
No takesy backsies.
Nope, it's I'm gonna relish in the moment here.
All right, so we're gonna get on to the pay-per-view now, and then we're gonna come to you directly after the pay-per-view to do a review. Hopefully, Goldie's coming home to Daddy.
Shoe taker, shoe.
Anyways, live from Studio 6, this has been your weekend wrap-up. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please interact with us, especially telling him he's an idiot about cutting John Cena out of the World Wrestling Classic. I would love to hear that. And about Chris Jericho being a 6 or 7 seed.
Oh, and come after him all
for
the time.
For that's fine.
For Daniel Bryan.
I'll take it. I'll own it. I'll wear it. Got my Shield gear on tonight. Go Rollins, I guess.
The only member from the Shield in this pay-per-view?
Yeah, I thought Roman would be here somewhere, but the Goldberg thing. Because
apparently you can just bypass Elimination Chamber now as for no more
by just saying I'm next.
I'm next. Yep, that's the Roman effect.
Alrighty, ladies and gents. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up live from Studio 6. Go ahead.
I'm the current reigning Wrevolution Pro Wrestling champion, Marcus White.
And in about 3 hours, I'll be the next AEW. I mean, sorry, Mox, I'm not coming for you, man. Please don't kill me. The next Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Heavyweight Champion of the World, Nick Cavalli. And we invite you as always. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this has been your weekend wrap-up.
We invite you as always to join
the Revolution.
Have a good one, you guys. That was a little sloppy, but have a good one. Have a good night.